Hey guys, welcome back. It's your boy reporting in live from the quarantine zone with the Covenant half of this mid-lockdown Halo lore extravaganza. In the last video, we took a look at the lore behind all the UNSC weapons and vehicles present in Halo Combat Evolved, and today we're gonna do exactly the same thing except for the Covenant's Alpha Halo arsenal, to see what we're up against. So if you do enjoy this comfy, nostalgia-loaded lore video, then please don't hesitate to leave a like and also subscribe if you haven't already, and of course leave a comment telling me your favourite Covery weapon or vehicle, and why. And without any further ado, let's dive into Fel Vadami's personal demon-hunting, heretic-slaying arsenal. So, beginning our look at the Covenant's Alpha Halo arsenal, let's start out with the Covenant's take on a sidearm, the Type 25 Plasma Pistol. Developed by Eru Armory on the Elite's homeworld of Sanghelios, the Plasma Pistol is a semi-auto directed energy weapon that's, in fact, a reverse-engineered Foreigner device, quite possibly this energy sidearm that we see used en masse during the Foreigner Flood War by Foreigner warriors. It is powered by a battery cell that, at the time of CE, the UNSC were unaware of how to recharge, but later advancements in technology made that possible. The battery cell itself allows the pistol to have a core output of 100 to 150 kilovolts in normal fire mode, and up to 1.5 megavolts when overcharged. This immense power output allows it to create a bolt of plasma with every pull of the trigger, sufficient enough to burn directly through the flesh of an unshielded target, and when the trigger is held down, the pistol is overcharged, firing a much larger, more powerful bolt, able to instantly drop a target's shields, and in many cases, the target themselves. However, an overcharge, or rapid firing of regular sized bolts, creates immense heat buildup within the core of the pistol, which is displayed on the holographic display towards the grip. When too much heat is created, it temporarily stops functioning and opens up its chassis so it can dump the waste heat that's built up inside. A truly unique alien weapon, and the first of many to come. Developed by Eru Armory, the Type 25 Directed Energy Rifle, aka Plasma Rifle, is another uniquely alien weapon. Its design, a combination of Foreigner tech, elite craftsmanship and profit artistry, is actually very efficient. Similar in its internal makeup to the pistol, the exterior is much different. Made up of two bodies joined together by the trigger guard, each body acts as a separate plasma generator, which when connected and activated at the same time, fires blue energy bolts created via superheated ionized gas, which acts as the ammunition. Just like the pistol, the power output of each shot is roughly 100 to 150 kilovolts, except now, with the fully automatic 540 rounds per minute capabilities, the damage per second that it can cause with the extreme heat of each bolt is exponentially increased. However, again, just like the plasma pistol, this immense power creates large amounts of waste heat, which builds up inside the mechanisms of the gun and needs to be vented after constant fire. This internal heat buildup is indicated by a holographic display on the side of the gun. Now, to dissipate this heat, two fins emerge from the chassis of the weapon, revealing the internal Foreigner origins of it, and allowing it to be vented for a second or two before returning to a functional state. Now, as efficient as this procedure is, it's not exactly what you want in the heat of battle, which is why the elites, the highly trained and deadly Covenant warriors, tend to fire the Type 25 in sustained bursts. This prevents the rifle from overheating, while at the same time allowing them to put enough plasma downrange to decimate a squad of humans. The ever-iconic Type 1 anti-personnel grenade, more commonly referred to as the plasma grenade, is a staple of the Covenant Armada. Designed and manufactured by Eru Armory, this grenade is functionally very different to the human fragmentation grenade. Its casing is made from a smart matter, programmed somehow to only stick to targets and not the background, meaning it can bounce off walls, off trees and even the floor, but will stick to anything it deems a target, from biological organisms to even vehicles. How this works is totally beyond the UNSC's comprehension. To prime it, an activation switch is flicked on the top of the grenade, which causes it to begin venting coolant, When thrown, the coolant continues to vent, which heats the grenade up to a temperature so hot it literally burns into the target, which is how it manages to stick. Once all the coolant has been discharged, the plasma generator inside it becomes unstable, and after 3 seconds of rest, it detonates, emitting a blinding white light and extreme heat, which vaporizes anything in the kill zone, following which a concussive blast wave is released as well, likely due to the immense pressure buildup created by the heat, which sends anything that hasn't already been vaporized flying. However, the explosion isn't the end of the grenade's damage. As the plasma cools, thermal expansion causes the heat to fan out both upwards and outwards, causing burn damage to anything within a 40-foot radius. And then, once the overall explosion is finally over, both the positive and negative particles left in the kill zone come together and begin to create electrical currents, which remain for a short time before dissipating, leaving nothing but a charred ground and the vaporized remains of any biological within the blast radius. Now for a weapon that human scientists still don't quite understand. The Type 33 Needler. Totally incomparable to anything present in the UNSC's arsenal and, in fact, any weapon ever designed by a human. The Needler is a guided munitions launcher developed by the Sacred Promissory, a munitions factory in the lower districts of High Charity. Unlike most other Covenant technology, however, this firearm is totally original and not at all reverse engineered by any piece of foreign attack. The munitions that it fires are large razor-sharp purple crystals, colloquially named blamite, harvested on the moon of Saban, which is one of Sanghelios' 2 moons. Up to 14 of these crystals are stored in holes on top of the gun, and when the trigger is held down, they're pulled through the holes and fed into the sort of barrel of the weapon before being fired. When they're ejected from the barrel, the crystals home into their target by tracking their heat signatures and locking onto them. Although they are able to be evaded, if the target's unaware of them, they are in for a gruesome demise. Each razor-sharp needle penetrates the skin like a knife, sharp enough to go through even the toughest metal armor plating, and if enough impale the same target, they undergo a super combine explosion, inflicting at the very least grievous wounds, and at the most, a horrific death. And then, furthermore, the explosion can send shards of blamite flying in all directions, giving it even more lethality and an area of effect damage. The gun is also fully automatic, but the longer the trigger is held, the faster the needles are fed. The mechanics behind this, along with almost every other aspect of the gun, are a total mystery even today. Returning to a more conventional Covenant weapon, the Type 33 fuel rod gun is the Covenant's answer to the Spanker, although the version in Combat Evolved is radically different to all other known models. Developed by the Assembly Forgers, the fuel rod is an indirect fire weapon, launching large, highly explosive and highly radioactive rods in an arc-like trajectory. When these rods strike a surface, the incendiary gel inside them is ignited, subjecting the area of impact to blisteringly high temperatures, as hot as typical plasma weaponry. However, on top of the usual effects of plasma explosions, these rods also bring with them the danger of extreme radiation exposure. If you saw Chernobyl, then you know what I'm talking about. The Combat Evolved variant, though, is extremely unique. It can't be reloaded. Instead, it operates on some sort of internal battery with a core power ranging from 250 kilovolts to 2.5 megavolts, and as such can very easily overheat. If it does, then it requires a few seconds to cool down, allowing the internal mechanisms to vent the waste before being usable once again. And then on top of this, the variant also comes fitted with a dead man switch, which ensures that if its operator were to fall in battle, the weapon and the technology within it will not only be denied from the enemy, but will also leave behind a devastating explosion, one that's taken the life of many a demon. The Type 29 Shade Turret is the Covenant's primary anti-infantry stationary gun, developed by Arcoam Weapons on Sanghelios. Above the sturdy tripod floats a wide seat, containing an armoured control suite, and attached to which is an automatic heavy plasma turret, firing 3 bolts of purple superheated plasma in a triangle formation at an extremely high fire rate. Although these bolts do travel rather slowly, they're suited perfectly for suppression, which excuses the lack of protection for its operator, as if handled correctly, the enemy shouldn't even be able to stick their head up to shoot, let alone take the time to line up a shot on the gunner. Moving over to the Covenant ground vehicles now, we have the ever iconic Type 32 Rapid Attack Vehicle, or the Ghost, as the humans call it. Created once again by Eru Armory, the Ghost is a 1-seat reconnaissance vehicle that functions via an anti-gravity propulsion system, which not only provides it with the power to move, but also keeps it suspended off the ground. This feat of almost magic allows the Ghost to travel at speeds of up to 60 km per hour, and its lightweight and aerodynamic body allows it to be nimble and easily maneuverable. The hull itself is constructed from nano-laminate plating, and built into it are 2 Class 2 directed energy cannons, able to project a bolt of superheated plasma at around 250 kilowatts, roughly the same as the Type 25 plasma rifle. The only downside is how exposed the driver is, but with the speed and combat capability of the Ghost, that should rarely be an issue. Secondly, the Type 26 Assault Gun Carriage, aka the Wraith. Designed by the Assembly Forgers, this hulking mobile mortar platform is the Covenant's answer to our main battle tanks. Powered by the same means as the Ghost, the Wraith is comprised of nearly 2-foot thick polymer plating, on top of which sits a Type 26 35cm directed energy mortar, which fires a huge bolt of plasma that explodes upon impact. Although typically used in longer range bombardments, the Wraith's mortar actually excels even in close to medium range combat as an anti-infantry, anti-vehicle, and just about anti-everything weapon. The driver is also safely secured within the hull in a small, cramped cockpit, protected by the extremely strong outer hull, but limited in maneuverability. The same can be said for the Wraith as a whole, in fact. Although it's not exactly a shock, considering its intended use is for bombardment as opposed to rapid assault, it is an overall sluggish vehicle, but what it lacks in speed, it more than makes up in devastating power. The Type 26A Banshee, created by the Assembly Forgers, is the main tool used by the Covenant to dominate the skies. It's a fast, highly maneuverable ground assault aircraft that even has the ability to hover if the pilot wishes to unload sustained fire on one position. Very little is known about the material that makes up the hull of the Banshee, although given its susceptibility to small arms fire, it could be speculated that its designers opted for a lighter material to ensure it remains as aerodynamic and nimble as possible, but at the same time one that comes at the cost of strength. To allow it to fly, each wing is fit with a boosted gravity propulsion drive, each complete with an anti-gravity pod and a jet, which leaves behind an exhaust trail. Using these, it can reach a top speed of over 100 km per hour. To complement its speed and agility, the Banshee also comes with 2 offensive features. 2 Class 2 plasma cannons are located in the main hull, identical in functionality to the Ghost, and then also a Class 2 fuel rod cannon, which takes a few seconds to recharge after being fired, but is fantastic for bombarding enemy positions. Having 2 means of outputting damage allows a Banshee pilot to remain nimble in the air, all the while raining fire down on targets of all size, from standard infantry to light vehicles, and even heavy vehicles in certain circumstances. When combined with its ability to hover, it's very clear to see how the Covenant so easily dominate the skies of Alpha Halo. And finally today, we have the Covenant's answer to the Pelican, the Type 25 Spirit, the primary Covenant dropship manufactured by the Tertiary Assembly Forgers. Constructed in an odd shape, the Spirit is an extremely weird spacecraft, unlike anything humanity has ever encountered. Both prongs of the ship act as troop bays, able to seat up to 15 warriors in each, and where the bays connect is where the pilot sits in his cockpit, along with an optional sensor operator as well. Below the cockpit is a heavy plasma cannon, very similar in functionality to that of the Shade, and is usually only used to suppress the enemy long enough for the warriors to disembark and begin to fight on the ground. However, the weirdest aspect of the Spirit is the gravity hoist, that visible gravitic energy that joins each bay. Not only does this work similar to the Ghost and Banshee's anti-gravity drives, allowing the Spirit to travel at speeds up to 250 kilometers an hour, but also fitted within it is another anti-gravity system that acts almost like a magnet, which allows the ship to carry up to 2 light vehicles or 1 heavy vehicle or other payloads of similar weight and size, all without any apparent form of compensation and without hindering the aircraft's speed or maneuverability in any way, of which, granted, is very limited, but still, how it manages to do this is beyond any form of science. Although the large gap between the bays may seem counterintuitive and like it just makes the craft an awkward shape and size for no apparent reason, skilled pilots have been known to exploit this strange design choice for oddly effective offensive capabilities.
Nice one, sir. Time for a little payback.
And that, my friends, is part 2 complete. All the Covenant weapons and vehicles present in Halo Combat Evolved. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, where we cover the entire UNSC arsenal, then just hit that little eye in the top right hand corner and go over and watch it. I can guarantee you won't be disappointed. I don't think you will be, at least. I mean, come on, we're in the middle of a quarantine here, almost a global scale quarantine. We both know that you don't have much else to be doing, so you may as well. And also, on that matter as well, seeing as you don't really have much else to be doing, go on, hit that like button, subscribe as well if you haven't already, and leave me a comment while you're at it. Seeing as we're all in quarantine, you know, you may as well. I know you want to. Anyways, that's more than enough e-begging for one day. I want to give a huge thank you to all my patrons for sticking with it over there, despite the world inching ever closer to 28 days later with each passing day. And thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Remember, stay safe, stay isolated, lay off the toilet paper, and I'll catch you all in the next one.